Anita
Hey,
Srivastava, thank you for joining me. Um, why don't we just begin right away? And Anita, you're a CFP, a financial advisor. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your, history and business and how you got started?
hey, Carl. Thank you for taking some time speaking to me. So first of all, yeah, it's been quite a journey. And like most, I don't know about most professional journeys, but mine has been a very scenic route, and I have really enjoyed the journey. So how did I get started? I would say about 12 years ago, I had a financial advisor. My kids were fully grown. And I was having a background in economics and finance. I used to like to manage my own portfolios. But there's this element about planning that had not really been discovered for me. My advisor never spoke about opening 529 plans for my kids, who were by then 8 and 13. And there were other aspects of financial planning which got me interested. I explored this profession. I already have a PhD in economics. I went back and took my CFP and got into the business about 11 years ago because I realized that there's a lot about one's financial journey that has aspects of planning that is so interdisciplinary that I could add some really unique value by having the theoretical ideas, but also just having lived that journey in life myself, understand how to bring the best solutions to people around me.
Okay. It's interesting. So what of all those things, I mean, a lot of that makes you unique because how many people have so many advanced degrees? But what about your business? Maybe more you, but what is it that's really unique about how you can help people?
Yeah, so a lot of times what happens is when people start on a professional journey, they start young, they go with it with a certain idea, they work in very specific aspects of that business, and they get very specialized. And in addition to being very specialized, they also get these views of the world which does not take into account all of the life which is so complicated, intercorrelated. So what makes me uniquely different from my business is that I worked at the think tank. I understand how technology and investment cycle and business cycles have changed over the years. I've studied economics, so I understand capital markets and what the Fed and what the financial markets are doing as a result of what's happening not just in the United States but around the world. I have lived a life as a mother. I've raised children. I understand some of the unique challenges families face going around their life day to day. I have been very active in my community as a volunteer. I understand the bigger impact that one can have that really makes this all so much more meaningful, this journey of living, growing, giving. That all of this, I kind of feel like when I work with clients, they are able to get all of these aspects in addition to their financial and professional lives that really make this a very fulfilling discovery as well as long-term relationship. They really look forward to working with me because they get more than just advice on portfolios and financial plans.
That that you made me think of something with that, what you're talking about. Because I work with primarily with business owners and their teams. And what I have seen, I mean, most of the time, salt of the earth business owners, they work really hard. They take care of business more than the business takes care of them,
Yep.
right? And what I see them missing is they're struggling to or angling everything about the business when I what I want them to do is build something that could work without them. And then
Yeah.
even if it's okay, you don't get to live like a, you know, really high on the hog. But if you're planning for the future, so if you're engaging with a professional in the world of finance, and then you can say, my plan is I have to work on this business for the next 10 or 15 years.
Mhm.
What are the 2 or 3 or 4 things that I really have to do? So somebody can maybe come to you and you'll be
Mhm.
able to say, well, you need cash, you need, to prepare for any kind of struggle you have, you need long-term investments, you need retirement planning. You can help somebody with any of those things, right?
Certainly can. So in the context of a business, I look at them as individuals. So yes, they're putting the most amount of risk in the business. How do we
Huge.
make sure we set them up for success in the future? And that could not just be about business growth, but when they are done with growing the business and want to transition into the next stage of their life, are they setting up retirement plans that are taking advantage of what the IRS and the tax laws allow business owners to do, to take the most advantage of that's afforded to them because they're the ones who are investing in the business, taking on the most amount of risk. So they should be set up to succeed whenever it is that they want to move to the next level, whether it's through an exit strategy or whether they want to grow. How do they invest more into the business or get new investors and so forth, or employees. So all of those aspects of where they want to take that vision of that business were really well structured and experienced to be able to help businesses.
It's the earlier somebody starts, I mean, this is motherhood and apple pie, right? But the earlier somebody starts, the better chance they have of success, even if it's a small step to start with. And you can tell me how you feel about this. I'm preaching to clients that I believe they should get paid 3 times. And they look at me like I'm crazy, but I think, you have to get paid for what you do in your business, which
Uh-huh.
is for a lot of business owners as far as they go. You have to get paid for what you do on your business, which if you go beyond being a freedom fighter and wanting to work for yourself, then you got to get paid for what you do on the business that's building it. And then ultimately you should get paid the third time, which is the value of your business, which
Yep.
is you're building an asset that you could someday sell. And when you're finished, sell it doesn't always mean sell it. It may, but it also could mean put a general manager in charge, take a passive income, whatever, and then go off and
Yep.
do something else. But that to me is if you don't do more than just work in your business where it's a
Mhm.
job,
Yep.
but you plan to build the value of your business, but also build your asset base, build your cash position, have investable assets, all of the above, right? That's where they need a serious, but not a serious financial advisor, but
Ye-
a could be a fun-loving financial advisor, but a professional financial
A
advisor.
professional, yes, who looks at all of those aspects. So that's a really good point you bring up, that you have to earn for the efforts through the life cycle of the business. So it doesn't just come all at once,
No.
but one has to plan about, if I am investing right now, my cash flow is low, I'm taking less of a salary because I expect to recoup and generate in the future. So it's so true that, and startup businesses at first, they're definitely more putting out in terms of expenses and rather than taking out. But if it's not strategically planned, it may not happen. So creating um, a vision of life cycle growth as well as income from the business is probably a really important criteria. So, and the earlier one starts planning that rather than making the money, but making the plans that help you figure out which are the points at which one will get a payback and what are the steps I need to take to get that so that I have it all the foundation laid out to be able to do that.
Great. You actually hit on two things that really kind of resonated with me. The first one you said earlier was life cycle, understanding the life cycle of the business. Now, I'm working with people who are established businesses and they're hitting a ceiling, but I'm also working sometimes with people who are very new or relatively new or even startups, right? So that
Yep,
this is life cycle, but if they don't understand that life cycle, all the
yep,
time goes past them, right?
yep,
Time just flies and it goes
hmm,
past them, and all of a sudden they're out, I'm tired of this.
yep,
And I, and they've kind of maybe missed the life cycle, or they've gone so far with the business that, now it's like, okay, it's on the downtrend and I don't have the energy, which I think is the important thing that people manage. They should be managing their energy, right? They're
hmm.
losing energy and the business is taking energy, not giving them energy.
That's so true.
I wonder
Yeah,
if you've seen that when you get like successful, maybe this leads us into that next question. If you either think about, like your biggest challenges or a success story, but I know whether this will help you with that question or not, but sometimes when I'm working with a client, it's like, they're tired and they're it's not burnout exactly, but maybe
yes.
it's approaching that, right? And
Hmm.
then they're like, oh, now you know what? I can breathe now, right? We worked for a while. I can breathe now. You know what?
Yeah,
They fall in love with their business all over again.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, so that's the life cycle of the passion. The passion itself changes when you start up a business. There's a lot of burnout, especially because you're facing different challenges, raising money, hiring talent, coming up with what is that unique value proposition that separates you from your competition. That's a different kind of passion than to grow the business,
Yeah,
and different kind of energy, which is whether it is creating partnerships or getting people to collaborate with maybe their products or services that are complementary to each other, that increases the size of the pie. And then there's the other version of passion, which is how do I give back? And by that, I don't mean philanthropy and charity. Give back to the ecosystem so that that helps my growth. If there is more people that and product services, businesses that are interconnected with me, so that'll help me further propel myself to the next level of the business. And if I want to just like take an example of this, like this is very common in technology, like when first we have a new technology come to play, if they think of it only as that particular widget or a spade, they would never really maximize the business. It's about what are the layers that's going to build on it. And if I'm not constantly working with people and partnerships and complementary products and services, I won't get to the next layer. And then maybe the applications that'll come to it where I continue to be relevant. So that I feel a lot of times small businesses can kind of, especially, if it's you're strapped for talent and have people, there's only so many hats one individual or a couple of people who run the business can do. So that strategic vision can come in from outside that really can help keep the energy and the passion going. Because you're right, sometimes businesses may be doing fine, but the passion and the energy burns out, and that may lead to an early demise, decline of the potential of that particular individual or business we might be talking about.
I like that thought process, and I like the idea of managing the passion and the energy because it's very common to think, and I'm guilty of this too. I'm telling people about managing their time, right? The challenges that my clients have, it's they're not making enough money, they're working way too many hours, and they're have a difficult time getting a good team around them,
Yep,
right? Time, team, and money. So
yep,
okay, so those are the challenges, but you're framing it a little bit differently, and I like that. It's not just about managing your time, it's about managing your energy.
Mhm.
And that managing your energy is know when you're getting tired and fatigued and you can't do your best work, and know when you're ready to go and make the most of it.
Yep.
That's managing your energy more so than just managing your time.
And
So
the
I think that,
type of energy too. So, like
right.
founders, typically some of the best founders, they move on and they hire external CEOs in startups because that is needs a different type of energy. So
Yeah.
maybe to recognize that the person who's running the business has to have a different personality, a mindset, passion versus the one who founded it, or taking that kind of expertise from outside so that it continues to grow.
Well, as a financial advisor,
Mhm.
you as a financial advisor, you're kind of that outside outside CEO for their financial well-being, right? And
Mhm.
I have experience where with working with business owners, they're good at the thing they do,
Yeah.
but they don't want to manage a business.
Right.
They're the owner, they own the
Mhm.
business, but they don't want to do owner stuff.
Mhm.
They want to do the stuff they're comfortable with and they like. So they need, and this is where I'm sometimes guiding them, they need somebody to look at that. They need somebody to pay attention to that because they're not going to do it.
Right.
Well, they need somebody like you to say, I'm updating you, I'm keeping you informed, I'm
Mhm.
communicating, I'm addressing, I know what you need, I know what you want, I'm
Mhm.
addressing that, and I'm keeping you up to speed. But we're looking at it so you don't have to.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
And businesses are just like entities, individuals, but just taking care of, the growth of their, so to speak, family, which is the business and their employees, and where they see the vision for this extended family in the future. And it just you need to be having an outside in perspective to be sometimes able to get it to its best potential. So absolutely, and it's a lot of detail too. So it helps to have the expertise of someone who's bringing it from having worked with another similar, you know, business owner or type of business, so that you don't have to go reinvent the wheel, whether it is cash flow, how to generate interest, how to generate new investments and investors, raise money, go to market strategies, um, how to get better multiples on their earnings, franchising. There's lots of aspects of how to grow that to the next level. That's where actually my consulting hat fits in very well too. I've had an experience in consulting. This is why Fortune 500 companies used to bring in consultants, very focused consulting projects. And these consultants have worked with other big companies so they can bring what they learned in that industry or adjacent professional setup in very quickly and turn it around. So it's that same idea, energy of running, which is different from founding a business.
Okay. Cool. Great. So I think we're getting close to running out of time, but you just leave us with a thought or two. Where do you see the industry going? And, you have a couple quick thoughts on what trends
Sure.
you see or what's coming up in the near future?
Yeah, sure. So working in financial services industry for the last 15 years, it's a very interesting space to be. Prior to this, I was in the dot-com space where I did consulting in a think tank. And these creative gales of destruction were coming for other industries now. A lot of disintermediation, a lot of automation, but artificial intelligence, the ability to incorporate some new technologies that are almost like hiring agents on your behalf that can do repetitive tasks, which allows a very different kind of competitor, a more agile, smaller scale competitor, niche focused on strategies. So it really is changing the landscape of financial services, the industry I'm in, but in addition to many others as well. So I would say like, I've just started using this in my business for the last 6 months, and my productivity has increased so tremendously. It is unbelievable. So that's another aspect of about, being on the cutting edge of um, uh, uh, taking in the new technology and what that means, but also to have a vision of how it might change what my future looks like so that I'm adequately trained and
Yeah.
anticipating that as well. So I don't know if I did get the good answer to that, but we're at that stage again where all of what we're doing is going to be unrecognizable in like literally less than a couple of years. This has come at a faster pace, and because of the type of technology we're incorporating, it will be much faster than Moore's law and all that we saw with the computer and the internet.
Mhm.
So just having that open mindset to to see the how to incorporate these new technologies, these new ideas, new businesses is going to, in my view, be a challenge as well as an opportunity.
Okay, great. This has been fun, Anita. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks
I
for
enjoyed
joining
it as
me.
well. Thank you.
Um, Hopefully we'll, you know what, let's do it again at some point. And you know what,
100%.
I'll be thrilled to do that. And I'll keep thinking about ideas, or maybe we have other questions we can try to address for people. So
That's great. I think having a panel at format would be very helpful too at some point.
yeah,
A panel of back and forth. Yeah, that would be great. Well, thank you
yeah.
again. Take
All
care.
right. Thanks a lot. Take care.
Bye.
All right. Bye now.